The richest empire in history didn't begin with armies or kings. It began with a single spark of ambition, and that spark turned into a force the world couldn't control. People think empires are built on land and monuments, but the real ones are built on systems. And the greatest system ever created still hides in plain sight. This empire never needed a crown. It needed silence, because the quieter it grew, the richer it became. It wasn't Rome. It wasn't Britain. It wasn't the Mongols. It was something far smarter, something woven into every part of our lives. It began with a simple idea: own the money, own the world. And the men behind it understood that principle better than any emperor. The richest empire in history didn't conquer nations. It conquered decisions, influencing leaders without a single soldier. Its power grew not by force but by trust, shaping economies, guiding governments, and directing the flow of every currency while kings fought wars for territory. This empire collected wealth from both sides, becoming stronger with every conflict. It never cared who won. It only cared that money moved, because movement meant profit, and profit meant dominance. Deep inside old European cities, a network of families quietly built the foundation, and their influence became unstoppable. Their strategy was simple: lend money to nations, own the nations, and history bent in their direction. They mastered information, knowing battle outcomes before generals, using secrets as currency and timing as weapon. When governments panicked, they stepped in calmly, offering loans that looked like salvation but acted like chains. They realized something powerful: when you controlled debt, you controlled destiny, and soon destiny belonged to them. This empire grew without borders, spreading through banks, bonds, and hidden agreements that shaped the modern world. Every crisis made them stronger. Every collapse gave them more leverage. Every desperate leader opened another door. They funded revolutions quietly, earning from chaos, guiding the future without ever stepping into the spotlight. You've heard their name whispered in conspiracy videos, but their real influence is far greater than the internet ever explains. They weren't magicians. They were mathematicians, turning calculations into empires and risk into unimaginable fortune. Their power wasn't loud. It was precise, engineered through numbers that could predict nations' next moves. While kings relied on armies, they relied on ledgers, and ledgers never miss, never tire, never betray. They discovered that information travels faster than ships, faster than armies, faster than fear. And they used it to rewrite history. When a nation needed war, they financed it. When a nation needed peace, they financed that too. Neutrality was their strategy. They never chose sides. They chose profit. And that choice created an empire richer than any king could dream. Their influence reached the UK, shaping the entire financial landscape, turning London into the world's economic heartbeat. The Bank of England became a silent battlefield, and they were the generals, controlling the flow of wealth. With invisible hands, they realized the secret control. The lenders, not the leaders. And leaders will follow you without resistance. Money wasn't their product. Trust was, and nations trusted them more than their own governments. Their empire was built on reputation, precision, and silence, the three pillars of unstoppable wealth. When markets panicked, they stayed calm, buying when everyone sold, turning fear into profit. Their timing became legendary, predicting rises and falls like fortune tellers. With perfect accuracy, they understood that the real value isn't gold or land. It's influence, and influence pays forever. They built relationships that lasted generations, connecting kings, presidents, and prime ministers into their network. Their letters traveled faster than armies, carrying secrets that changed wars before the battles even started. Their empire didn't need a flag, because its flag was everywhere, hidden in vaults, banks, and governments. They remained invisible because invisibility is the ultimate power, and they mastered it better than any empire. The richest empire in history didn't fade. It evolved, becoming the foundation of the modern global financial system. Today you use their inventions without knowing it, from government bonds to international banking structures. Every time a country borrows money, the echo of their empire lives on. Influence in the world silently. They built institutions that still shape policies, laws, and decisions that affect billions. Their genius wasn't greed. It was engineering, creating mechanisms that generated wealth endlessly. They realized wealth isn't owned, it's controlled, And control is far more powerful than possession. Their empire operated with precision, like a machine designed to never stop, never weaken, never fail. Governments feared them quietly, knowing that upsetting them meant financial collapse. Nations sought their approval more than alliances, because alliances win wars, but money wins futures. Their calculations were so accurate that leaders trusted their predictions more than their own advisors. They turned money into influence, influence into power, and power into invisibility. The richest empire in history still exists. But not as a kingdom, it exists as a system. The system they engineered still runs global finance, guiding decisions from London to New York when markets move. Their designs are behind the movement, shaping every rise and every fall. They taught the world that information is profit, and whoever controls information controls destiny. Their empire never crumbled because it wasn't physical, it was intellectual. Built on ideas instead of walls. You can destroy buildings, but you can't destroy ideas. And their ideas became immortal. Economies rise and fall. Governments come and go, but their financial structures remain untouched. They built institutions that outlived the people who created them, making wealth eternal. Their power wasn't measured in gold. It was measured in influence, and influence compounds. Today, when a country faces debt, it follows the same blueprint they created centuries ago. Every financial crisis echoes their strategies, proving how deeply their ideas shaped the world. Their empire wasn't the largest by land, but by wealth, influence, and global reach. They realized early that true power isn't visible. It's hidden, subtle, and unstoppable. Their network became the blueprint for modern central banking. The foundation of world finance. The stock markets we use today mimic the systems they built, turning speculation into science. Investors still follow their rules without knowing it, using strategies designed centuries earlier. Their empire outsmarted kings, outlasted wars, and outlived revolutions. The world changed, but their system adapted, proving that ideas can evolve like organisms. They built a financial engine so powerful it could move armies without commanding a single soldier. Their influence crossed borders silently, creating unity through money instead of treaties. Every modern billionaire plays in the playground they designed, borrowing their methods. Tech giants rise and fall, but the financial architecture remains eternal. Nations today still rely on debt systems created by their empire. Repeating the same cycle, the empire became so large that no single person controls it now. It controls itself. It operates through institutions, policies, interest rates, and debt structures. Its influence is so deep that undoing it would collapse the global economy. The richest empire in history doesn't need recognition because real power hides it. Never needed statues or monuments because money moves faster than memory. Leaders come and go, but the system remains, guiding them like invisible hands. You feel its impact every time prices rise, every time banks change rates, every time markets shake. Your future is influenced by decisions made through a system created long before you were born. The empire doesn't need to be seen, because it operates through the world you live in. Its greatest achievement was convincing the world that it doesn't exist, but it does exist, deeply, silently, endlessly, shaping reality in ways people rarely notice. Its real power is subtle, operating through numbers, decisions, and structures. You see its effects, not its face, because invisible power leaves visible footprints. The richest empire in history made the world dependent on debt, interest, and financial flow. It turned money into a living organism, breathing, expanding, evolving. Its engineering created global trade, global currencies, global connections. Everything from inflation to interest rates echoes its design. Every central bank follows rules born from its blueprint. The modern world is a reflection of its architecture. Its creators are gone, but their system lives, guiding the world silently. You don't see emperors anymore, because the system became the emperor, and it rules not through force, but through dependence. The richest empire in history is the financial empire that controls the world, not through armies, but through influence, structure, and precision. It owns no land, but controls all land values. It commands no soldiers, but funds every military. It has no throne, but every leader sits beneath it. Its true genius is that it hides behind every decision, and the most shocking truth is this: you are part of it, whether you want to be or not. The richest empire in history didn't just shape the world. It became the world, and that's the truth people were never meant to see.